I'm going swimming! Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming at you for another one of my famed movie slash Blu-ray reviews. Today I'll be reviewing the movie and Blu-ray of Killdozer, the made-for-television movie from 1974, also being, coincidentally or not, 74 minutes long. I'm going to be reviewing the made-for-TV movie, and then I'll be reviewing the still recently released Blu-ray by Kino Lorber that came out, I think, late last year at some point. Very, very, very excited to have this on Blu-ray. So my history with the motion picture made-for-TV Killdozer goes all the way back to the 80s. I saw it on TV with my dad. I want to say it was either 85, probably either 85, 86, or 87, saw it on TV with my dad. I don't remember if we watched the whole thing. I can only imagine we watched the whole thing. I can remember, starting it or seeing the very beginning with that, hokey-ass special effect of the meteorite, heading to Earth and crashing, and then, sitting there over time and being hit by the blade of the bulldozer. So my history with this movie goes back all the way to the 80s when the show was, or the made-for-TV movie was somewhere around 10 years old, and then it wouldn't be until I think sometime in 2009 when actually, for some reason, the movie just crept up on my radar again. I thought about it, something made me think about it, who knows, but I actually kind of sought it out on YouTube, and I was able to find it in pieces, on YouTube videos, so I was able to see it for the very first time since like the mid to late 80s. Killdozer, again, obviously the lackluster YouTube quality made it somewhat of a chore, but at least I was able to see it, so that was really fun. And then sometime later, that was the only way I was able to watch it for a while, and then, let's see, what the hell year is this on here? Okay, so this says 2012. I was able to come across this on Amazon in 2012, a Universal Vault series print, burn-on-demand DVD release from Universal Home Video of Killdozer, and this was just such a revelation. This DVD, even though it is burn-on-demand, was really, really, really great quality, definitely better than what was available on and that I was able to find on YouTube and things like that. I mean, that's probably more like a front loader kind of a thing, where it pivots in the center. This isn't a bulldozer. I think that's more a picture of like just a generic, more recent front loader. But the back artwork here is not so shabby, showing some basically Killdozer goings on and stuff. But this was a revelation at the time when it came out, manufacture on demand, burn on demand DVD, official Universal DVD release of Killdozer. So I think the premise of this movie, made-for-TV movie, was based on a novel, or a short novel just of the same title, one can only assume. Obviously the premise is very simple, and I absolutely love the premise, and it's just a bummer how, just like with the movie, what the hell other movie? I don't know, there was some other movie that was getting all kinds of flack, and there was a Blu-ray release coming out of it. Oh, The Forest. Yeah, I just don't understand the hate for movies like this. I mean, this is supposed to be just a quaint, very simple, just tale of bulldozer run amok, killing people. People are just spoiled by the contemporary, current day, just, frickin' quote-unquote action hero, action flicks, and all this CG and all this and that, and Lord of the Rings and Hobbit bullshit, that people really can't just watch a quaint little made-for-TV movie from the 70s and just fucking enjoy it. This movie is basically a premise of like a meteorite from space hits Earth. It looks like, maybe possibly a long time ago in the past or something like that, hits Earth in this spot, so and so miles away from the coast of Africa or something like that. And I think where it's meant to be after the meteor hits Earth and kind of cools off and stuff, I think that is meant to show like a passage of time afterwards, and then cut to 1974, the same island. It's actually, this takes place on a small island. The meteor hit on a small island off the coast of Africa, Cut to 1974, there's this construction crew working on this island to get it ready for this or that, or build whatever the hell. I don't know if they even say what they're building there. It doesn't really matter. What ends up happening is, you know, this one guy has this huge D9, which is probably, one can only assume at the time, it might have been the biggest, and who knows, maybe it still is, one of the biggest bulldozers made. Incidentally, I think they still make them, or they made them after this era. The movie time this took place. It'd be interesting to know the actual year of the D9 bulldozer used in this movie. One can only assume, this movie being, made possibly in 73, being aired in 74. One can only assume maybe the bulldozer's 5 or 10 years old, so it's maybe a bulldozer from the 60s, who the hell knows. At any rate, this D9 bulldozer is a huge, huge, huge bulldozer. So basically what ends up happening is they're clearing off this area to build something or other, and this guy driving the D9 runs into this meteorite that fell, and he hits it with the blade, and then it's almost like the meteorite, kind of very 70s, hokey 70s, made-for-TV movie fashion. Once he hits the meteorite with the blade of the D9 bulldozer, the meteorite starts to glow and pulse with this blue pulse and stuff like that, and the guy driving it is like, or actually no, not the guy driving it, the guy who's standing there watching him, show him how to remove this meteorite or this boulder, is standing right by there, and he's actually, as the thing starts radiating, the guy's standing there, and it's like, and it's like, he's probably standing too close, but of course he doesn't know it's a meteorite, an evil meteorite from space. But the meteorite just, or meteor, I think a meteorite's a smaller thing. This meteor is like pulsating blue, and it's like, it kind of burns the one half of this poor guy's face, who's standing right there watching how to dig out a meteor from the frickin' side of the hill or whatever. And then we see the blue, kind of pulsating blue, kind of slide into the blade of the D9 bulldozer. So, pretty much that's what's really great about this movie is it's just so simplistic, such a simple scenario. You've got alien meteor possessing a huge D9 bulldozer in this movie. I mean, for what it is, I watched this thing over and over and over, especially after I got the DVD, and now especially after I got the Blu-ray. I think for what it is, it's a perfectly competent thing, competent little made-for-TV movie. Obviously, for the moments that follow this situation, this guy's badly burned and he's all in bad shape, and they're trying to, there's basically just these, I don't know, 4 or 5, I don't know, is it 5, possibly 4 or 5 construction workers on this island, so they're basically cut off from the rest of the world or whatever. They're trying to radio in for some help for this guy, medical help for this guy who's got burned, and really burned badly on the side of his face or maybe it's his whole face, I don't know. He's burned badly by this incident that happened, and obviously the beginning of the movie kind of just deals with that a little bit until that character dies off, and before he dies he reveals some, like, saw the blue light flashing and going from the meteor into the bulldozer blade, the D9 blade and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of this infighting or this tension between some of the other guys, like, is this guy, is the boss of the island trying to keep secrets, or what's going on with the bulldozer. And then the boss of the island guy, the main boss, who's incidentally played by Clint Walker. He plays like the main boss in this movie, boss of the guys on the island. He, brings the bulldozer in for inspection and this and that. And I think actually as he's doing that, it actually starts freaking out on him, and he's got to cut a hose and actually tow the thing back to the area where there's one guy. Incidentally, the guy who'd go on to be the star in Eaten Alive is in this in more of a straight role. It's interesting seeing him in a straight role. Yeah, Neville Brand, who was the main killer guy in the Tobe Hooper movie Eaten Alive, which would be made a couple years after this, is also in this movie. He's like the mechanic or whatever. So they pull the guy pulls the bulldozer into the mechanic area to have the guy look at it, and this one black guy, of course, the one thing I can say about this movie is at least the black guy doesn't die first. The guy who dies first by the radiation from the meteor is actually white, so we can say that, but I guess technically the first guy to be killed by the possessed by the meteor blue light bulldozer is a black guy. But this guy will just get on the D9 bulldozer, when he's actually not even supposed to, and just take it out and just to go out for a joyride, and the thing ends up getting possessed. And what's kind of goofy is that I don't know if you'd really do this if the huge bulldozer you're on is getting possessed with the, it's a goofy 1970s made-for-TV kind of horror movie, but the guy ends up jumping off and crawls into like this really thin like piping tube, and then obviously made-for-TV killer bulldozer, you can't really show anything. So the way they get around it this time is the guy crawls into this pipe, and then we just show the bulldozer like crumple up or run over and destroy the pipe that the guy was in. So just a word of warning, like if you're on a bulldozer that happens to get possessed, maybe don't jump off it, maybe stay on it, and if you do jump off it, maybe don't crawl into a thin little flimsy pipe that it can simply run over and crush you. One of the cool things they do to give the bulldozer more life is they use the headlights as, basically in the movie are the eyes. Oftentimes they'll do a close-up on the headlights, fading in and out to kind of indicate life within the bulldozer. And it really is effective to, really give the bulldozer life by I think when the lights fade in and out, they're kind of, the bulldozer's kind of mad, or regardless, it just indicates that there's life in this bulldozer. So the headlights basically are the eyes, and I guess when it's mad it kind of lifts up the blade and drops it down and lifts it up and drops it down. So they try to give the bulldozer as much life as they can with movements it makes with the blade, and the glowing headlights as eyes that fade in and out of brightness. There's two main kind of stars, like this Clint Walker and this other guy who lives at the end. Two guys live. I think maybe the movie starts out with, I don't know how many guys it starts out with, maybe 6, including the guy who gets, radiation burned at the beginning of the movie. And obviously as the movie wears on, it's just like one by one by one, these guys get, they're trying to survive and outsmart the bulldozer, but, basically one by one, the guys are killed by the bulldozer. One guy, it's just so funny. I mean, I can understand the kind of, not necessarily hate, but complaints about this movie to a certain extent, because I think the last guy to die by the not the hands of the bulldozer, but by the blade of the bulldozer, is just like driving. He's all drunk, he's been drinking all night the night before, and he's just driving around in this Jeep, and he just kind of stops and sees the bulldozer right ahead of him, and then he can't get the Jeep started as it's coming towards him, and he just like sits there. He doesn't get out of the Jeep and run away. He just sits there and kind of closes his eyes as if he's got no other, way to protect him, as if he's got no avenue, like just simply getting out of the Jeep. But maybe he's too intoxicated to think about that. I will say that is probably the lamest death in this movie. Just the guy just sitting in the Jeep, just accepting his demise. Maybe at that point in the movie he's just sick of running, could be. But I will say that that's a goofy ass, kill, if you will, or death, where the guy's just sitting there. But and then after that guy's dead, the last two guys, including Clint Walker and this other guy, are alive. And there's this actually kind of relatively not a huge thing, but a kind of a cool, like Clint Walker and this other guy who's like the backhoe, is that what it is? This device with the arm or whatever? I don't know. I'm not a big on. I was much more into like heavy machinery when I was a kid. I think it's I don't know. It's some kind of machinery claw. Anyway, it's Killdozer versus humans in the backhoe or whatever the hell you want, a big scoopy claw thing device. So that's kind of a cool little moment where they're like fending off the bulldozer with another, by piloting this other big piece of machinery that Killdozer ends up winning that battle, of course, and then they decide they can figure out a way to... I won't ruin it in case anyone wants to blind buy the magnificent Blu-ray release, but I won't spoil how they end up defeating the bulldozer. But it's really, I've always taken to this movie, and I think after my dad and I saw it in the 80s, we kind of made fun of it a little bit, and maybe for the weeks and months that followed, we'd see, maybe if we're driving around or we see a bulldozer, maybe we'd say, Killdozer, that kind of stuff. Was that kind of really fun relationship with me and my dad, just like, Killdozer. So the movie really began that little bit of, it might have even lasted, a couple of years after we'd seen that thing, seen the show or seen the movie, so, just like, there's a Killdozer. Because, I don't know, me and my dad were always kind of geared, I don't know, we just gravitated towards those stories of, just fictional stories of things like that, murder devices, or not in a sadistic, nasty, real world kind of a thing, but, the entertainment value of these kind of goofy ass shows and stuff, and Killdozer and all this and that. What would my star rating be for Killdozer? Oh gosh, it's definitely, it's probably not, oh man, that's a really good question. Why don't we go, this is going to be a really, really high rating. Let's see here. I think I'm going to go as high as, people are going to be really surprised, but I think I'm going to go as high as 3.5 stars out of 4 stars for Killdozer, the made-for-TV movie from 1974, just because of its just simplistic quaintness. It's just so wonderfully simplistic and quaint, and just, like I say, is just representative of such a more simpler time and an era. And if you're familiar with the Steven Spielberg movie Duel, that came out I think like 3 years prior, initially that was another Universal made-for-TV movie that did so well that they ended up shooting more of it to be able to theatrically release it. But if you're familiar with that movie, they used the same kind of credits, the same kind of yellow. I want to say it's almost the same. It might be even the same font. The opening credits in the beginning of the movie, just that same Universal made-for-TV movie, just yellow font, yellow font, and possibly the same font and stuff. So I've always gravitated towards Killdozer, and I'm just so delighted that it's finally got just this amazing, amazing new Blu-ray release. It's just I think it's just an incredibly quaint, just simple kind of made-for-TV, I don't know, I guess you could say sci-fi / horror movie, whatever, just from 1974 that's, doesn't take long to watch, and it's just really kind of fun. Now on to my review of the wonderfully amazing, just absolutely slam-bang, recently released Blu-ray release of Killdozer by Kino Lorber. When this title was revealed that they were going to release this last year, I was really, really kind of wondering what the hell they were going to do for the cover art, because one can only assume a movie that was made for TV didn't have a theatrical poster made, because it was never played in the theater. So it's just like, what do you do for cover art for a movie that was made for TV? One can only assume that maybe they made a little bit of just a really sloppy, simple artwork to show up in the paper, but who knows, maybe they never made any artwork. So I was definitely, and I think the first artwork that appeared on Blu-ray.com when the title was announced was artwork similar to this, if not this artwork right here, and I was kind of concerned, but I was like, there's no way Kino Lorber is going to go with that artwork. Incidentally, the artwork they ended up coming up with, I actually really like. I think it looks to be basically the same kind of bulldozer that is featured in the movie, which is a huge plus, and also just like you've got some like meteors in the sky there, because the bulldozer is possessed by a meteor after all. I don't know about showing like 3 meteors in one shot. Maybe you could just have the one there, but you've got some like electricity, this or that, sparks and stuff, and flying debris and rock and stuff. The exhaust coming out of the chimney and stuff, or the smokestack. I think I don't know if I could, I'd say this is really, really good cover art. And what's really cool is for the font here on the bottom, it's the exact same font and color pretty much that, is featured when the title comes up on the screen, Killdozer, for the actual movie. So I give them huge props for using that same font and color there. This particular release is said to be from a brand new 2K master, and I gotta tell you, I think even on Blu-ray.com, I think the video quality gets a perfect score on this release, and I gotta agree with them. I don't always agree with the way they rate either video or audio quality on Blu-ray releases, but I gotta agree with them on this. I don't think this movie could ever look any better than it does on this release. It's absolutely just breathtaking. The yellow heavy machinery is just such a wonderful yellow. Back in the good old days, the blue skies of, one can only assume, Californian skies of 1970s, just so blue and amazing. And for the most part, they're wearing these freaking orange helmets, and this main guy, Clint Walker's, in his blue shirt. I mean, the colors are just so amazing in this presentation, and just like the blue skies, the orange helmets, the blue shirt, the the rusty old. Actually, I don't think the bulldozer is really even that old, but the yellow frickin' Killdozer, and it's just I can't commend the image quality enough. I would, if you can get this for, I don't know, $20 or less, I don't know what it's selling for these days. I haven't looked it up since I bought it, but I think this was only $20 when I got it right after it came out. But I would, if you can probably watch it on YouTube if you don't want to do a blind buy, but I would really, 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 really strongly, recommend this Blu-ray release because the image is just unbelievable. As you can see, mine came with the slipcover. I can't promise that, if you buy it now or sometime later after this video is published and stuff, that you're going to be able to get the slipcover, but you get the same artwork underneath the slipcover even if you don't get it. Special features are kind of sparse, but that's okay. The important thing is just a wonderful presentation of the movie. You've got audio commentary by film historian Lee Gambin and film critic Jarrett. I swear, these last names, they kill me every time. I'll just say Gahan. Audio interview with director Jerry London, image gallery and trailers. I don't think the trailers are for the movie itself. I think it's for other Kino Lorber Blu-ray releases, but I don't think I really bothered with, I don't have a lot of time or necessarily even interest for a lot of these commentaries, so I don't think I bothered with any of the commentary, or, I should have probably done the interview or the audio interview with the director, but it's really not that big a deal. It's kind of just, so often is the case with my experience with most of my Kino Lorber releases, the special features aren't very plentiful on this release, but that's okay because hell, they put Killdozer out on Blu-ray in a brand new 2K master. Sliding off the slipcover, obviously you see the same artwork underneath. This is what the rear art looks like. The Kino Lorber is basically standard, 2 images on the top of it, little synopsis there, then the special features, and then credits below. Never been a huge fan of Kino Lorber's disc art, but what are you going to do? I'm not going to give them too much flack because, hell, they put out a brand new 2K remaster of the made-for-TV movie by the name of Killdozer on an unbelievable Blu-ray release, so we'll let this kind of subpar disc art slide. Hope you guys enjoyed my movie and Blu-ray review of the absolutely kind of underrated, in my opinion, and not too well-known probably movie by the name of Killdozer. It's so funny how it came out in 1974 and it also happens to be 74 minutes long. You probably might even be familiar with some of these faces. Maybe some of you are more familiar with Clint Walker than I am. All you fans of Tobe Hooper's Eaten Alive are going to get a kick out of seeing Neville Brand in this in just a normal straight role. Apparently he was in other stuff like, well, you can see here on the back, other movies. I don't know how to pronounce this. Stalag 17, Kansas City Confidential. So I guess there's some familiar faces. The one guy who gets killed in the Jeep, I've seen him on other TV shows like Quincy and stuff like that. So he's probably a universal staple, TV face or whatever. So it's kind of it's just like I say, I can't express enough how it's just, Killdozer is really just kind of a fun, simple, quaint, made for TV movies, thriller movies from the 70s. So I guess that'll pretty much do it for my review. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video.